welcome back to my world of stuff. My name is Paul Mount. A very happy new year to you. I'm recording this video on January the 2nd. 2024 is now receding in the rearview mirror, for better or for worse. So it's time to crank up some new videos for this channel. You may well be wondering, where the hell is World of Stuff's list of top 10 TV and films of 2024? Everyone else has done theirs. Well, you know, I like to be different. In fact, I have recorded both of those videos, but I've decided to have a little rethink. The first video, the film video, I recorded and edited, and I stopped editing halfway through, went back to re-edit it, finished it, and then I discovered that something had happened along the editing timeline, that all the images and sounds and so on had gone completely out of sync. And I already had some concerns that the video was overlong, so I decided to scrap the whole thing. I'd also recorded a 50-minute video about my top 10 TV shows of the year. Also far too long. So I haven't bothered doing any editing work on that. What I'm going to do in the next couple of days is re-record a new video which will encompass TV and film. My top 10 films and top 10 TV of the year. Because those videos didn't do incredibly well last year, but I like to do them as a public record of my likes and dislikes in both media. So I will be recording that probably on the weekend and uploading it on Sunday, I'm hoping. And it'll be a much shorter video. Hopefully a nice type 30 rather than an hour and a half, which it would have been otherwise. The list will remain the same, just in a slightly different truncated format. Hope that's okay for you guys. Right, this video is a physical media update. I haven't done one of these again for 6 weeks or so, and I think the fact that there's not very much here reflects changing attitudes, not just my changing attitudes, but changing attitudes generally to physical media purchasing. Now, I'm not one of those people who rushes out and buys things on the first day of release, because I know that a couple of months later, these things are going to be half price or reduced prices. And it does create that dilemma a little bit, because I do support physical media. I love physical media, but I don't like paying full price for it. And like many people, I will wait until sales and I'll wait until they're reduced, because we know that these things are overpriced in the first place. And I'd much rather pay a price nearer to what they're actually worth rather than the recommended retail price. And I understand that doesn't help the industry. That doesn't help encourage manufacturers and studios to keep making these things. But I like a bargain. What can I say? So everything I've got here, well, no, almost everything, all except one, I've picked up at reduced prices online or in store, mainly online, in fact. It's not a great deal, so I'll just rattle through them shortly. There's a few other bits as well. As you probably know with these videos, I often do things that aren't just Blu-rays and DVDs. I do books and magazines and figures and things. I've got a couple of new figures. I was going to call them action figures, but they're not, they're figurines. I don't these days go for the sort of plastic toy-like look, the segmented figures that you see, because they do look like toys. And I'm a man of a certain age, and I can probably get away with collectible figurines, but I can't get away with plastic toys anymore. So anyway, I've picked up a couple online that I was after from Marvel's figurine collection, the old Eagle Moss figurine collection. I have a collection of Spider-Man and all his enemies in various figurines that came out over the years. Dr. Octopus, Sandman, Kraven, Electro, Kingpin. But I realised there was one I didn't have, and that was Chameleon. Very early Spider-Man villain from one of the very early comic strips. Character who was like a master of disguise. I wasn't sure if there was a figure. Just before Christmas, I had a quick look online, and there he was on eBay for about £5, I think. Chameleon, not one of the best remembered, slightly the focus, not one of the best remembered Marvel villain figures, but a nice little figure to add to my tableau of Spider-Man and his best enemies. Never grow up, kids, never grow up. I also picked up this figure from Marvel's sort of horror period back in the 70s, when the gloves were off in terms of horror comics and horror imagery and what comics could get away with. The Comics Code Authority, I think, had put restrictions on comics for a very long time. And that was all released in the 70s, and Marvel sort of entered into this age of doing horror comics, like The Tomb of Dracula, Frankenstein Unleashed. And the Man-Thing. Man-Thing was very much Marvel's take on DC's Swamp Thing, very similar sort of idea. And I remember reading the Man-Thing comics. I think they were written by Steve Gerber. I'm sure I'll be corrected in the comments below if I'm wrong there. But there was the sort of story of this swamp man, if you like. I can't remember much about the story now, unfortunately. He took some sort of serum and became this swamp creature. You may remember that Man-Thing appeared in the Marvel one-shot Halloween special from a couple of years ago, Werewolf by Night. I was hoping we might get some more of those, because that ended with a suggestion that these characters might be branching out into the greater Marvel universe, but that doesn't seem to be happening, which is a shame. But this is a nice, lovely little figure. If you're familiar with the character, it's nicely detailed. It's very sort of swamp green grey colour, murky sort of look. I am hoping at some point to pick up one of the collections of the old Man-Thing comics, because I do remember enjoying them, but they're pretty pricey. I'm keeping my eyes peeled for another sale where I might possibly be able to pick up the Man-Thing collection a little bit cheaper than the extreme prices that these things command at the moment. So that's figurine type things, a couple of magazine-y things which you might be interested in, you might not, I don't know. Some of you who are comics fiends might be familiar with Rebellion, who are releasing collections of old archive comics from the vaults of the likes of Fleetway and so on from the 70s. Anyway, I picked up this one. Well, I didn't actually pick it up. A friend of mine sent it to me because he knew I wanted it. Very kind of him. This is Robot Archie and the Time Machine. Robot Archie was a character who appeared in Lion comic, and Robot Archie was sort of a poor man's Iron Man, I suppose. But they did a strand of stories, Robot Archie and the Time Machine, very much sort of inspired by, if not ripping off, Doctor Who, where Robot Archie's chums came into possession of a time machine, which, as you see there, is shaped like a castle or a rook in a chess set, and they have various adventures in time. And I read the first story, which is quite amusing, set in medieval times with knights and jousts and so on, and the second story seems to have put them into a post-apocalyptic future, and I'm always a fan of that sort of thing. So that's a nice bit of nostalgia, which is available now from Rebellion if you're interested in Robot Archie. Another a little magazine I picked up. The Tripods video I put up about 3 months ago has been my most successful video on this channel, coming close to 18,000 views. Thank you very much to everybody who's watched that. If you remember the Tripods, you can find the video further back down my channel. I picked up this little magazine which I found online. This is published by Pencil Tip Publishing. I've spoken to them before. They do some lovely little niche genre books based on various sci-fi shows. I think they're called What the Fans Think. Reviewing old TV series, Space 1999 is coming up soon. They've done UFO, Torchwood, Sarah Jane Adventures, Tomorrow People, and I've contributed to those. But they did a book, which I wasn't aware of, a magazine, which celebrates BBC's Tripods. It's a 40-odd page magazine, 50-page magazine, but it's quite nicely done. It's got interviews, episode guides, actually an interview with Sam Youd, who is John Christopher, who actually wrote the story, an archive interview, and bits and pieces on the series, an interview with Jim Baker. So this is a nice addition to the book Was It All for Nothing, which came out last year about the Tripods, and a nice little extra bit to commemorate a series which is fondly remembered but not that well respected. But I picked up on Amazon, I think this was about £5 just before Christmas. This was the original if you like, Salem's Lot from early 1980, I think this was. This is the one with David Soul, James Mason and so on, the classic version of Salem's Lot. There was a new version of Salem's Lot which came out last year, which I actually very much enjoyed. I think I did a video for it further back on the channel. I know it's quite different from the original version, but I'm quite looking forward to having a look at this because it is extremely well regarded vampire story, and with vampires currently back in vogue thanks to Nosferatu, which I'm going to see this afternoon. In fact, I'm looking forward to catching up with this again quite soon. I've seen it years ago. It's 3 hours long, so it's quite a lengthy slog, but I don't imagine it'll be a slog because I know it's a rather marvellous piece of work. And incidentally, I'm grateful to my friend Sean, who sent me a copy of Salem's Lot in paperback, because I've never read it, and it was one of those things on my list to pick up and read at some point this year, so that's sitting on my reading pile. I also picked up, just before Christmas, this was interesting. This was from Zavvi, I believe. I think it was Zavvi or HMV. Zavvi, who were doing massive reductions, 70% or 60% off certain 4K discs and Blu-ray discs, which were supposed to be Region A, America discs. And I saw The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, the third in the Conjuring universe films. I think it's the third, which I've never seen. I haven't seen the second one yet. And this was reduced to something crazy like £6.73. But when it arrived, it was actually the UK rated edition, 18 rated edition. So this is, in fact, a 4K for about £6, £6.50, something like that. So I'm quite pleased to get that one and add that one to the collection of films that I might watch one day. A couple that I picked up from the latest HMV2 for £30 4K sale, which I think is still ongoing. You can probably still pick these up now. And I picked these up because they're both from the same director, but I just wanted the films. I picked up the 4K disc of Aliens. I think this came out last year. It's a classic, of course, the sequel to the original Alien, James Cameron sort of war movie in space. And I haven't seen this for years. I think the 4K transfer is supposed to be pretty good, so that's what I will hunker down and watch at some point. And I did pick up Avatar: The Way of Water, James Cameron's sequel to his original Avatar film, one of the top 5 top grossing films of all time, whereas the original Avatar, is the top grossing film of all time. You can see I haven't taken them out of their wrappings yet. And I know that people poo-poo and are about Avatar films, and I know that basically the two films tell the same story, but I sort of enjoy them on a purely visual level. You don't have to think about the stories because they are so simple, but they're very spectacular, and the discs themselves very basic in terms of the imagery. But there's 2 discs. There's the 4K disc and the Blu-ray, and special features on the Blu-ray. So, what can I say? I don't dislike the Avatar films. I will never say that they're my favourite films of all time, or it's my favourite franchise, but I think that the films are entertaining just purely on that visual wow factor. Only 2 others to show you then, I'm afraid. I picked this one up. I bought this on release because I do like the film quite a lot. It's Joker Folie à Deux. I know it's much derided, and I know people hate it for all the wrong reasons, but I just thought it was a audacious, bold and brilliant film. That's not my quote, by the way. That comes from the Daily Mail. But I entirely agree with it. Great film, massively underrated, and I do think that one day people will look at Joker Folie à Deux and go, oh yeah, I get it now. I can see what he was doing. He wasn't doing what people expected, what people wanted. He was doing what he wanted to do with it. Perhaps perversely, but I think it's a very clever, beautifully made film. Joker Folie à Deux, and I paid full price for that, I'll have you know. This arrived in the post today. I had totally forgotten I had ordered it from Anderson Entertainment. This is Stand By for Action 2. This is the second Gerry Anderson in concert music performance that was held last year in Birmingham, celebrating the music of Gerry Anderson's classic TV shows. I went to the first concert that was held 2-3 years ago. Didn't go to the second one, but I have picked it up now on Blu-ray, and it's just been released. It's arrived today. Special features include a trailer and behind-the-scenes documentary about the making of the concert. But yeah, this is nice. This is 144 minutes live performance on stage by a symphonic orchestra introduced by John Culshaw, who introduced the show when I was there. And it just goes through some of the best of the Gerry Anderson classic music. The first show concentrated on the title theme music and so on. I understand that this one, although I haven't seen it yet, is more about other Anderson pieces, incidental music, and well-known musical tracks from Anderson's universe. So I'm looking forward to watching this. I'll probably watch this on Saturday. Bit of a Saturday treat. So that's it. I'm afraid that's all I've picked up. As I said, there's just not so much stuff I'm getting these days. These physical media updates will be fewer and further between, I suppose, in the coming months. But hey, that's the way things are going. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's my first video of the year. It wasn't supposed to be my first video of the year. My first video of the year was supposed to be my TV top 10s, but as I mentioned, I've had a little rethink on that. So that'll be coming up on the weekend. So something for you to look forward to. Thank you for watching. If you are new here, I would say to you, you should really subscribe. Press that subscribe button. Press that like button. Leave a comment down below if you've got any comments on any of my pickups here. If you've picked anything up over Christmas and so on, Christmas presents, let me know. Be interested to hear what's filling up your shelves. And that's it really for now. I will see you soon. Stick around. 2025, lots of stuff to come on this channel, so keep taking this stuff.